In today's latest deadline day news, we have massive updates around the current negotiations for ENZO FERNANDEZ. Hope continues to grow, and Hope is suggesting that a deal should be finalised before the end of tonight. To move on, we have some confirmation around the future of Conor Gallagher. We discussed Jorginho, who today surprisingly has signed on a permanent deal for Arsenal, and we talked a bit of Bayern Munich as well. So right now, my friends, it feels like tonight we could be making history. We are literally breaking football in this window right now. The level of spending, the planning, the strategy behind this is something that I've only dreamed about, to be honest with you, and to actually be here in a moment, witnessing things and seeing things unfold and play out. I just feel incredibly privileged and lucky to be a Chelsea fan, and as a fan base, I mean, wow, I mean, everything's like a movie moment with us every single season, and this is why we love our club, no? So if you guys are excited, if you guys think we can sign ENZO FERNANDEZ right now, let's get 4K likes for today's video. I'm going big tonight, and I'm going big for Enzo, yeah? So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Before we get into anything, let me get one big announcement out of the way first. Today's video comes courtesy of Football Team Game. Now, to be honest with you guys, Blue Lions FC is not doing too well right now. We've picked up another defeat yet again, this time to Club Brugge, losing 5-1. We're getting absolutely thrashed and dominated left, right and centre right now, and you know, I need some reinforcement and help in this team. Like, for myself right now, I'm trying to swap my position to become a left back because I think we are struggling because we don't have, you know, proper defenders in this team right now. So if you think you can help change things and make things better, sign up to Football Team Game. You'll find a link below in the description. And the great thing about this game is that you create your very own custom football avatar. As you guys can see right here, pick the style you want to play in. Improve their stats as well using training sessions as well too to unlock more skills and features from your own avatar, and of course collect in-game items as well too to get further stat boosts to improve your player. You can use the shop here if you want to buy packs to do that, or you can do things a long way as well too. You guys can decide what you want to do. So what you're waiting for, download Football Team Game. You'll find a link below in the description and the top comment too. Now let's start with things, and let's start off by discussing Jorginho again, because I mean, you guys are seeing the photos on screen for yourself. Seeing Jorginho in an Arsenal shirt, it's not quite sitting right with me. It's not quite computing or making too much sense. And I guess it's the speed in which business has been concluded in. And that's the game, right? It can be very cold and ruthless at the very, very top. And just like that, in the space of like less than 48 hours, Jorginho is out of the club and is now going to be playing for Arteta's Arsenal. He'll probably help them win the league. You know, I think Jorginho is a good player. I think he is misunderstood. And I'm still planning on releasing a video just discussing his time here at this football club because, you know, I listened to both sides of the argument and I would say that both people are right. But I do feel like maybe these like debates and arguments can kind of like skewer the conversation around Jorginho, and maybe discussion gets a bit unfair in terms of the criticism that Jorginho does receive. But regardless, he is signing for Arsenal for 12 million. His contract expires in 6 months' time. And to be honest, again, this is cold business decision making right now. It does make sense to sell him. I mean, we know that we weren't going to offer him a new contract. He'd be leaving for a free. So to generate some money, knowing the fact that transfer fees will help us with FFP limitations, you know, this was the right decision to have to make. But of course, you know, it's interesting because now it puts a lot of pressure now on securing ENZO FERNANDEZ, because we are currently now lacking some quality in our midfield. You know, guys like Cover, I feel the injuries have still affected him a bit more. We have seen inconsistent form from guys like Gallagher and Mason Mount. So midfield has been an area in this team that has needed strengthening now for a very long time. And, you know, if you're letting Jorginho go to a direct rival in front of you, you need to do that knowing that you're bringing in the upgrade signing and his replacement. So I've got a lot of faith and confidence behind the decision to allow Jorginho to leave. It's probably respectful too. I mean, he's settled in London, his family's settled in London, and he doesn't really have to leave his environment to make the move to Arsenal. He will be signing a contract taking him to 2024 with the option to extend by a further year if certain clauses are met. So right now it's quite clear that Arsenal see him as like a quality stopgap figure that their team needs. Of course, you know, Partey, Xhaka. They've allowed Samuel Okonga now to sign on loan for Crystal Palace, so there was a lot of like wheeling and dealing going behind the scenes, and I think that everything should be working out for all parties right now. Now, I have been mentioning that, of course, Enzo will be replacing Jorginho. That's for tactical reasons, But the main reason why the club are okay with Jorginho going is because they are anticipating Andre Santos, of course, securing a work permit and becoming part of the squads. I mean, this guy is a massive talent, one of the best young mid-talents in football right now. And he had a lot of competition around his name before we secured his services. If he had signed for Newcastle, you'd imagine that he'd be playing in their first team right now. So he has the quality to make an impact, and I like the confidence being shown. Still though, to end things, I can't get over the fact that it's going to be really weird when we play against Arsenal later near the end of the season, knowing that Jorginho is representing them. He was a really popular figure in the squad, really respected, liked by a lot of managers as well too, so I can't imagine that's an easy one. And there was even a clip that came up from Cucurella, who was surprised and kind of dismayed at the fact that, oh wow, Jorginho has literally just left us to sign for Arsenal. So he isn't like a joke type of figure. He has like a lot of respect from his teammates. But for me, ultimately, the argument around Jorginho is determined by what type of system you're using. I think when he's used the right way, he gets more praise, and when he's used the wrong way, he's open to more criticism. But that's the game, right? So how do you guys feel about Jorginho leaving? Are you upset? Are you a bit confused? Be honest, share your thoughts and opinions. It's all good. And so right now, let's discuss these massive ENZO FERNANDEZ updates. You guys, I'm feeling quite optimistic. I'm feeling quite good. And I'm feeling hopeful now because I've spent a lot of time making like a ENZO FERNANDEZ analysis video, and I was getting kind of worried thinking, have I wasted all this time for no reason if this deal doesn't end up going through? So I'm sure you guys are going to really enjoy these updates coming out around the deal. We start with the latest updates and then we work our way down. And to start off with things right now, ENZO FERNANDEZ has been given permission by Benfica to undertake a medical. Now this medical will happen in Portugal, but at the same time, you know, agent figures behind this deal from Benfica have flown to Cobham right now in anticipation that a deal is struck and terms are met. This has been confirmed now by heavy hitter journalists like Ornstein, Romano, big publications as well too, and they're all confirming the same thing. There is a growing sense of optimism around the fact that this deal can be finalized and completed. And I think a lot of it comes down to the willpower shown from our new boards. I mean, they are not taking no for an answer. They are using every possible method, exploring every scenario, trying to find any single term to really let Benfica know, listen, we want this guy at any cost. We are doing everything humanly possible within our current means and restrictions to find a solution to get this move over the line. And I kind of feel like Benfica have now been forced to have to respond to that and now have to engage with us because we're coming in very fair, very honest, and we want to sign ENZO FERNANDEZ at all costs. Now, earlier this afternoon, there was some news that came out from Matt Law, and he did report that it seems that Benfica now may be softening their stance behind, you know, only wanting to receive the full release clause up front. It does seem now that they could be open to selling if there are better structures behind the payment for this move. So with our current bid that's gone through, that's 120 million euros. That's broken down into 6 installments. If we can bring those installments down to maybe like, I don't know, 4 or even potentially 3, that allows Benfica to access the money a lot quicker and a lot faster, and that could encourage them to want to sell the player, accept the terms, knowing the fact that even though we didn't receive the full amount of money, we have received substantial amounts of money that will help us in terms of improving our team and improving our team's position too. At this point in time, we do know that from last night reports were coming out that certain Benfica officials left negotiations to go and find potential replacements for ENZO FERNANDEZ, with Alain Varela from Boca Juniors, as I spoke about last night, being one of the most popular candidates at this point in time. He has a very affordable release clause, and once that's activated, Benfica don't have to waste any time because they're holding direct conversations with Varela themselves. And if you're Varela, you're probably thinking this is a great move. This is a great introduction for me to, you know, get my first field of European football and hopefully do a bit of an ENZO FERNANDEZ myself and one day leave for massive amounts of money. So I feel like right now, everything is slowly starting to finalize. Things are starting to make more sense. There's a lot more clarity behind the position of Benfica and ourselves as well too. And when you're hearing reports from Romano and Ornstein saying that there's growing confidence now, you know, maybe during the early hours of the morning and late last night, you know, negotiations soured a tiny bit because, you know, Rui Costa remains adamant that release clause value or nada. But right now, that's evolved, that's changed, and it does feel like we're getting very close now to putting off what we all kind of felt would be impossible. So, yeah, it doesn't make sense what I'm seeing. Like, to think that We're spending close to nearly 700 million buying a new squad. It's it just doesn't make sense. So right now, the last thing we need is the co-sign from Rui Costa. Enzo is doing his medical. The correct reps are at Cobham right now to, finalize all the final details and paperwork. And I'm getting the impression that once Benfica get the co-sign themselves, that they have a replacement for Enzo Fernandez. I think something happens late last night in the final moments of deadline day. So make sure you guys stay tuned on Blue Line TV, because it's going to be a very epic night right now, because we're literally breaking football with the sheer amount of spending we're doing right now. So right now, let's end things with two final stories, and we discuss Sabitzer of Bayern Munich, because naturally, now that we've sold Jorginho, now that we've committed so much attention to signing Enzo Fernandez, if anything happened where a move broke down for any reason, you need to always have a backup plan. And it does seem like we have been scouring Europe to find the best, possible solutions that you can get in the final moments of a deadline day, and Sabitzer has been a name that's come up. Now, what's interesting, as reported by Florian Plettenberg, is that Man United are also actively in communication and negotiations to try and sign Sabitzer for themselves. And at this point in time, it does feel like Sabitzer is kind of like heading more towards Man United. Of course, he's spoken to Ten Hag. He likes the project and he's available for a departure in this window as well too. And I kind of think that with Sabitzer, he would probably make a lot of sense playing alongside Casemiro's, and I think Eriksen is injured at this point in time. But he's a decent player, he's a good one. He would have been purely stopgap for us, and to be fair, it wouldn't make sense to sell Jorginho to then sign Sabitzer for similar amounts of money if we did miss out on signing Enzo Fernandez. So I understand with massive moves like this, you have to take calculated risks, and I think so far these risks are within our means and we can handle them with whatever happens. But I think Sabitzer would have been an interesting stopgap for now, but hopefully it's looking like this won't be happening, because the player now is set to be signing for Man United. Right now, we end things by discussing the future of Conor Gallagher, and I'm sure Gallagher is a very happy man, because right now the club don't want to sell him, and it's for a few reasons. Number one, Newcastle showed the strongest interest in potentially making a massive offer to persuade us to sell, nearly around 50 million. But right now, we don't want to strengthen any top four rivals. We don't want to boost their hopes. We're hoping to still secure Champions League football. And for me, with the level of spending we're showing right now, there must be like a clear belief that we can close this 10-point gap and we can hopefully find ourselves in a top four spot before the season ends. Now, other bids for Gallagher haven't necessarily satisfied us. If Gallagher was sold, it would have to be for crazy money, because he is still rated at this football club and Graham Potter is still a massive fan. So unless a substantial offer is made before the window closes, there's a possibility that Gallagher leaves, of course, during the following window. But of course, he has an opportunity here right now to win over Graham Potter and try and secure his Chelsea future. I do feel like there's more to come from Gallagher, and I feel like once the team has more experience settled in using this 4-3-3, Gallagher is really good on the right-hand side of a midfield three. Let's not write off his season at Crystal Palace. The points he won for them, the match-winning goals. There is some talent here under Gallagher, but at the same time, this is a very competitive position. We have many other young box-to-box mids like Chukwuemeka, Andre Santos as well too, Kaside. So you have to really fight for your place right now, and let's see if Gallagher is up for the challenge and can do that, because he loves the club, he wants to make it here, and I do feel like for successful squads, you need to have certain personalities and figures like this in your dressing room to bring the harmony. So my friends, at that note, I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Line TV. Of course, there's going to be more content coming out later today, so make sure you guys are staying actively tuned in to see all the latest reports. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Line TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.